fans. So it has been a while since I've been doing baseball on the YouTube channel, and it's time to fix that. We have, hang on, my mic looks a little low. Just 1 second. It's got this little air where it keeps turning itself down to 50%. And I don't know why. There we go. Let's get that back up. Should be at 100. It's saved at 100, and it doesn't want to do it at 100. I don't know. Anyways, so it's time to get back to some Super Mega Baseball here on the MioDread YouTube gaming channel, and I have kind of combined some elements we've seen on this channel before, which is Battletech, the science fiction universe of giant stompy robots, and baseball. So how have I done that? So in Battletech, there is a faction called the Clans, and the clans are subsetted into 20 or so different clans, 20 at their max, at various other points there or less. And I have made teams as best I can with the logos of the clans. Some turned out really well. I like the Star Adder one, for example. I think the Blood Spirit one came out pretty accurate. I think the Ghost Bear one's pretty decent. Diamond Shark's pretty good. Goliath Scorpion's pretty good. Coyote turned out actually surprisingly good, although I think it's ugly, but I just think that it's ugly in general. So, there is that. Where others are not remotely on the mark. Like, Barack, for example, is not a fish. It's a giant, like, earthworm thing. With, like, mandibles and stuff. But there wasn't really anything to use with it. This is kind of the same kind of posture. I think it looks kind of neat. And then there's the Steel Viper. That's not a viper. That's a Gila monster that it's got there. But I ran out of snakes. There are 3 different snake clans, and there were only the 3 snake logos that you had to pick from. And I had to use them for the other things. Smoke Jaguar is not even close. Fire Mandrill's not even close. Nova Cat is kind of 50-50, actually, now that I think about it. That's a fox, not a wolf. There was not much in the way of wolves, actually, to use. In fact, I used the wolf as a coyote. So, basically what I'm getting at is not super accurate. Anyways, what does this all mean? Well, you can see I've got the Warden Conference and the Crusader Conference. The Warden Conference is down a man because there are less Warden clans. This is taking place during the Operation Revival, hence the Kerensky Revival League. And basically it's going to be a baseball battle for the right to invade the inner sphere. So that's what we got. All right. So what do we got to do to play? What are we using to pick the teams? Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the clan that each team represents. We're going to look at the roster. We're going to look at the uniforms. And down below, you guys can comment who you want me to play as. I'm not sure if it's going to be just like a full-on popularity vote, but it'll be something like that. And I'll go with it. We're going to go DH off for this league, so pitchers will have to bat. All right, let's start with Cloud Cobra. So this is Cloud Cobra. There's the uniform, or one of them. There's the logo. I think it looks pretty cool, actually. The other uniform is just kind of like a darker version of the one you see. I like it. Let's have a look at the roster. So, I kind of like the roster. I think there's a couple of problems. I mean, number one is the fact that Veranda Richards and Turf Beal, who would be the two players to kind of build around in the outfield, are both center fielders. That's a bit of a problem. One could slide into right field, I suppose, because we don't have a particularly good right fielder. It'd be Urban Ponce, or Uber Ponce, who would be handling it. So who would it be? Who has the better arm? I guess it would be Richards. Beal has no real arm, and he's the better center fielder, I think. He's got a little bit more range, more speed, and better fielding. So that's probably what I would do. And then Carson Tucker in left. So it's a pretty good outfield. Mark Veneman could be a short-term shortstop option. 35 years old. Bit low contact, but he's got the RBI trait. Massive power. Good fielding. Bit of a low arm for shortstop. Still got some speed. Then I got Navy Shaw, who could probably move over to third base if need be. Randy Burr, the catcher, is not too bad. First baseman, Thea Praline. Not super useful. And then I guess Maximus White would be the second baseman. Kind of weak there. Or Riker Alley. They're both old. I could probably also get rid of them. This will be franchise mode, so I can make some roster moves, so it's not super important. It's got a good pitching staff, though. Brendan Walter, Bolt French, good top of the order, and some good bullpenners in Trinket Colombo and Giorgio Palacios. So what about the actual clan itself? Well, Clan Cloud Cobra is one of the smarter clans. They're always kind of behind the scenes, manipulating things, doing real well. A lot of respect for them. Not much else to say. It's kind of a bit of a problem within the BattleTech universe is the clans that have never come to the Inner Sphere are ever so slightly a little bit underdeveloped, and that would include the Cobras. So that's option 1. Option 2, Diamond Sharks. Now I do really like this logo, and to be honest, I actually kind of like I rather like the uniforms. Pretty cool. I like them. What about the roster? Okay. The roster leaves something to be desired a little bit, in my opinion, here. There's not a good starting pitching staff, although it is pretty reasonable. Froth Stiff Bottom, Freddie Roman, Blitzer LaGrange, and we can use Charlie Estes more or less as an ace pitcher, albeit one that won't last very long. It's a bit of an older team. A lot of players in their 30s. Pretty reasonable bullpen. Kevin Wood would be our best player and center fielder. And he's pretty competent. He's got good speed, good power, reasonable enough contact that he's definitely usable. Arm is pretty reasonable too. Right fielder Welt Cross. The only thing with Wood is he's 36, so if we end up outside the contending, he'd be a guy we'd probably want to get rid of to free up some salary. Blade Gates at catcher is pretty damn solid as well. A little bit weak on the arm. 51 arm is it's a bit weak. Devin Kanogan, I really like that name. 30-year-old shortstop. He could definitely do a lot of things. He's a good piece for the future. And then Dustin Shipwright, who would probably move into left field. Because I don't think we really want to... Well, I don't know. Dimple Myers is not bad. But we do want Shipwright in the lineup for sure. He's a good bat. And we'd probably put him in left field. And let Welt Cross play the right field side of things. Kent Marquez is an interesting prospect. So, I mean, we got some good stuff here. Clan Diamond Shark is kind of like the merchant clan. They really buck the trends in the sense that they're very progressive thinking about ways to make money. Not quite as obsessed with honor as the other clans are. The clans are very, very obsessed with honor. Like, we're talking like ritual dueling society here. So when I say less obsessed, doesn't mean that they aren't obsessed with honor by any other metric. Just by the clan's metric, they're a little bit low on that. But I do like them. Again, another solid option. Clan Wolf. I'm very disappointed in this one just because the logo looks like so much shit. I don't mind the uniforms though. They're pretty reasonable. Roster. What do we got? So, immediate problem, Jordan Wasman is our best player, and he's 38 years old. Or she, I'm not sure which. Gotta go at B pluses though. Definitely some possibilities here. We do have a 40-year-old second baseman that could probably be let go to manufacture some... I mean, I guess it depends, because he's actually got a lot of power and a lot of arm. So, like, he's quite useful. Although we have a better option at both of his positions with Wasman and Jeffrey Leone. So, I don't know. It's a weird one. I don't know what I'd do with that. Weak pitching staff, though, which is obviously a bit of a problem. But, hey, if you guys want to see me struggle, there is that. They do have a catcher who's 19 years old. That's interesting. That would be a long-term project. Another 40-year-old. So I don't know. This team would definitely be a challenge. Clan Wolf is kind of like the main character in the clan storyline. They lead the Warden faction. They're super powerful, super honorable. Not above being sneaky though. For the large part, kind of portrayed as the closest thing to a good guy that the clans have. Although later on they become like plot armor thick and kind of Mary Sue-ish. But there is always a little bit of that in Battletech. Plot armor is always a thing. Hell's Horses, what do we got? So this is what we're looking at for like team colors and uniforms. I don't like the logo, but oh well. Excellent 22-year-old right fielder Greg Rose. All right, that instantly is something you can build around. Not really liking these ages otherwise though, but it does get down here. Pretty deep team. Goes B- to a large degree. Really good duo of pitchers here who are not too old. Elder Fields and Jaden George. And an excellent closer in Tobias Escobar. So, yeah, no, this team has everything that you'd really want. The only thing I think I find concerning is the lack of a catcher, because it'd be Hugo Island or the 19-year-old Orlando Duarte. I'd probably go with Duarte as a development prospect to make that happen. But not bad, not bad. Hell's Horses is another interesting clan in the sense that they're really, really mixed. They kind of struggle with their identity a little bit. Like even within like the Warden Crusader divide, they're like 50-50. So there is that. They are... Excuse me, I got a little something in my eye here. They are one of the ones that are not nearly as obsessed with battle mechs as the other ones. They use a lot of conventional infantry and stuff and combined arms tactics. Very interesting clan. Goliath Scorpion. I kind of like this color scheme, and I do really like the logo. But what about the roster? So we got Adeline Hogwash. Pretty decent right fielder as well. Ages are not too bad. They do have a 37-year-old left fielder, but hey, we can deal with that. Plus his name is Preston Overlord. Again, another pretty decent 1-2 punch starting-wise. Bullpen's a little bit weak. We do have a 19-year-old Caden Legstrong as a relief pitcher, which would be interesting, again, to try to develop that kind of player. Although there is really nothing to work with there, but still. I do like that Colton Kent, our ace, actually has a reasonable bit of a contact, so he can be used as a fielding option or as an offensive option. Although that 1 speed does mean I think he's going to get thrown out at first base a lot. As for the Goliath Scorpions, they are the treasure hunters of the Battletech universe. They are obsessed with finding old shit and believing that it will lead to the power of the Inner Sphere and put them in good stead when it comes to becoming Ilkon and all that. I'm sorry if any of these terms are not familiar to you guys. I know not everyone that watches my channel is a Battletech fan, but suffice it to say, these are the guys who are like, ooh, it's a shiny thing and I need to have it. That's kind of them, and they're also drug addicts because they use scorpion venom as a hallucinogenic. That's like the big things for the Goliath Scorpions, frankly. Again, another somewhat underdeveloped clan. Clan Coyote, also kind of druggies. Not... You know what? The uniform, it could grow on me. I could see this growing on me. Roster-wise, Ray Overly would be the best player, and he'd be very solid. That's a left-handed bat with a lot of potential. Only 25 years old. A lot to work with. Not a lot of high-end talent otherwise. But not a dead end. I mean, we got bees. We're doing okay. Starting pitching's a bit weak. Bullpen's a bit weak. It would be a challenge team, but I do really like what we'd have at second base with Ray Overly. I think that's a really, really solid player who could be like an MVP at some point. And I do like that there's some young pitching to work with there. Amar Ingram's 21. 22-year-old Carno Gion. So there's some stuff to work with there, and I also like some of the names. Shrewd Mayo, Miles Davis. Bodhi Acevedo. That's kind of neat. Wingspan White. Ogle Mockmore. Not bad, not bad. As for the Coyotes themselves, kind of the Clan Wolf right-hand man. Always in their shadow. The Adventures of the Omni-Mech, which, for those who are not aware of what an Omni-Mech is, I'll get deeper into that. So basically the idea was that a mech kind of came as it came, and it was a really big process, time-consuming process to change it. Omni-Mechs fixed that, because Omni-Mechs are just like, hey, you don't want my arm? There, put the new arm in. There we go. Sort of very modular weaponry system. They came up with that. They're genius scientists, is generally their thing. Alright. Then we got the Snow Ravens. Snow Ravens are the sneaky fucks. Intelligent gatherers of everything. They watch literally everything. That's kind of really all you need to know about them. I do like the uniforms. I don't love the logo. It's actually a penguin and not a raven, but we do what we can. Cam Franco, 23-year-old right fielder. That's something you could definitely work around. I think there's a lot of potential there. To be our best player. Starting rotation is not strong and not particularly young. But the bullpen is very good. Oak Rich, Peyton Ventura. Ventura's only 25. A lot of work there. Yuri Parks would also be someone who could work on. So there's some promise in the bullpen. It's again a fairly deep team. It's got a 19-year-old left fielder, Madison Peacock, which we could work with. Actually has some reasonably decent stats. Already has 43 contact. And has a decent arm. The only thing is that got no real speed, no real power. That would be that'd be a challenge, but I think we can make it work. It is actually our only left fielder. Really, that is sad. I mean, in reality, we probably play Miriam George in right field as the day-to-day right fielder, or Perletta Coleman. No, George. George is 24 years old. Coleman's 41, and not super great at anything. Good arm. Definitely a usable player. Could be used as a pinch hitter. Has some speed still. I do like that catcher, Scott King. 25 years old. Not a lot of power, but 91 contact. And good defensive stats. So actually, not a bad team. A little bit struggling with the starting pitching, but it could be made to work. Rounding off the Warden division, we got the Nova Cats. That logo should tell you everything you need to know. They are on drugs. They believe in spirit quests. They believe in... Really, that is their dominating thing. I'm not kidding. They're kind of like a hippie clan. Roster-wise, George Torres would be the best player. He's pretty solid. Kind of another one of these cases, though, where the second best player is also a center fielder. Obviously could play left or center field, or left or right field. Although even that I don't want to do, because I've got two other very competent fielders. She does have the infield option, so I don't know. Don't really like how that team is structured at all. Pitching is okay. Has okay starting. There's an A- in there and an A. Bullpen is kind of crappy, but we do have a C 19-year-old in Mateo Walker. He would be a very interesting long-term prospect. Again, a bit of a challenge team, but could do. Clan Barack, the one that I had to mess up the logo to make happen. Although I do actually really like the uniforms. Like, you wouldn't think brown, black, and white would work. I think it does. I think it kind of does. I like it. Not a lot to say about Clan Barack. They actually get destroyed not too long after what we're talking about here. So not really a lot to say. They're kind of typical Crusader. So fairly aggressive. In terms of their lineup, Flavio Cineros and Will McPherson leading the way. Not bad. Not a lot of complaints. Like almost every team, there's some positional problems here. You got two shortstops you'd really like to play, but I guess One of them could play second base. We could move Enrique Mullen to second. Wouldn't be a huge problem. The outfield is also a bit of a mess. But I do like some of what we're seeing here, actually. Pretty solid. And then the pitching is not amazing at the top end. I mean, Joel Todd is not a great ace pitcher, but it's pretty decent. You got 2 B pluses and a B for starters and a B plus long reliever. There's an A minus in the bullpen, pair of Bs, B plus. And there's some youth here to work with. Joel Todd's only 23. Could definitely build around him. We have Ken Horn, a promising second baseman who's only 21. I like this team. It's not too bad. Not big on the clan, but not bad. Star Adder. I rather like this clan. One, I like the uniforms I came up with them for them. Looks pretty nice. And two, they're kind of like the partners in crime, the Cloud Cobras. They're a more aggressive version of it, but they're really smart with their aggression. I really, really, really like them. They're one of the few Crusader clans that actually still exists without like having to reform or anything, so that's good. And then Legend Pepperonis is our best player, and I do like the name, and I do like that. I do like that our second best player, Luther Wentz, has utility, which means that we can use him outside of center field, and that is good. Probably would use him in left field. We have some decent left fielders, Gantry Field and Piper Burton. Both are pretty usable. But I would probably play Luther Wentz as the day-to-day left fielder. And just because first base is taken by Elias Henderson. We want Henderson. Second base is a bit of a gaping hole because it would be Becky De La Rosa, who is... I actually got some decent power, so actually that's not too bad. Even though it's a C+ player, there's some good power there. And her other ratings are not impossible to use. That's not bad. Catcher would be a problem. We have 2 old catchers, both of whom don't have a lot to offer. Outside of Zeke Dubs having some decent contact. I would probably release Princeton Bullseye. 37 years old, no solid stats, and see if I could find a younger catcher. And then the pitching is a bit of a tragedy. So I don't know if this team would be a contender right off the bat. Which, you know what? To a certain degree, that might be fun, because that means that I can get rid of the old wood. Like, I could drop Bullseye and Dubs. I could drop these older pitchers here in Vincent Bernard and Horace McCullough, and get myself some roster spots where I can look and see what's available on the market and try and build a team. So that in its own way might actually be really fun. And then you have some young players like Pepperonis and Elias Henderson and Simon Norman, even Welt Oldman and Pastel Johnson for pitchers. Like, there's a good young core we could work with. Jade Falcon. Jade Falcon is like the Clan Wolf rivals. I don't really care for the uniforms I came up with, but they look, I don't know, they look okay. Very Philadelphia Eagles-ish. I do like what they bring, though. 2 good corner outfielders, third base, first base, catcher, center field, shortstop is covered. Again, a bit of a weak situation at second base with 42-year-old Vinny Arias. But we could play Jerry Counter there instead. Wouldn't be too bad. And then pitching is pretty reasonable. We got an A- leader in Lowell McKee. Terry Kent is a good one as well. Some decent bullpen. A couple people I'd probably want to release, but it's not the end of the world. It's not bad. Don't really care for them. They're sneaky fucks. And they're sneaky fucks who yell about honor all the time, which is a bit weird. Like, they're the clan that's obsessed with honor while being dishonorable all the time. Ice Hellion, Skip, we are not... The Ice Hellions are freaking children. I guess if you want to enrage me, you could make me play them, but I don't want to. That's all there is to it. Blood Spirit. Traditionally minded clan. Really big on family, unity, and so on. I have no problem with the clan. I don't like the fact that their best players are like all over the age of 30, except for Wade Hansen. Although Hansen is an interesting player. Could do some things around that. And they do have a young pitching core. No one really stands out, but it's quite young. At least the starters anyways. The bullpen's a little bit older. 32, 30, 35, 23. So really just Cannon Burke in terms of young prospects there. Not too bad though. I think this team could work. The weird thing though is Jacob Mathis and Wade Hansen, 2 first basemen, as 2 of my 4 best players. That would be awkward. I don't really know how I'd work that. Maybe you just get rid of Hansen. He's 36 years old. Or Mathis. He's 36-year-old because Hansen is the way of the future. And, I mean, he doesn't have the offensive upside, nor does he have the fielding, but he has a little bit more speed, and he does have similar power. So, I don't know. And he does have a trait. 36 years old, no trait. 40-year-old, no trait. Weird. I'd probably keep Nixon Ochoa, because I don't have a left field option that's particularly any better. A lot of lefties. A lot of lefties. Wow. What the fuck? Even the pitchers are all... There's only one pitcher that's not lefty. That's Cannon Burke. At least when it comes to hitting. That's weird. That is a bizarre team. But we can make it work. Steel Viper, I don't want to play them just because I couldn't come up with a decent logo for them. Also, they have one of the most insane... They have the stupidest destruction of all time. The most, like, self-sabotaging clan of all time. Because of the whole Brett Andrews arc, who's a leader of theirs, who declares a war of reaving against anything with Inner Sphere taint, ignoring that his own clan had been to the Inner Sphere, and therefore had been tainted by the Inner Sphere, and therefore got itself reaved. Pretty stupid. I don't mind the team build, though, to be honest. There's some good pitching here. There's actually some very good pitching. Young closer to develop, who has actually really good junk and pretty reasonable velocity. They kind of have most positions actually fairly well covered, except for basically first base, and I think I could live with Zeke Dunlop as my first baseman. I don't think that's a problem. Reasonable outfield, good middle infield, decent third baseman in Gerardo Vo. Tuple Flubel is a player who would be a base of the team. That's pretty cool. So that's not too bad. Could live with it, but I don't like the logo. Just because it's not even close. Smoke Jaguar, also not very close, but I do kind of like this logo. I do kind of like the uniform as well. It's not bad. It's a surprising worker. So, the original leaders of the invasion that we are kind of playing the baseball storyline of. So that's kind of cool. They're, again, pretty hyper-aggressive clan. Pretty big on honor, but actually, unlike the Jade Falcons, kind of follow honor. So I can bear them a lot easier. They have a really, really good center fielder in Chelsea Lancaster, who's only 23 years old. That's pretty surprising. 99 speed. I like a lot of that. Josephine Marks would be a solid third baseman for a couple of years. Javier Mealy is pretty good right fielder as well. Caitlin Ward at shortstop. Russell Haynes at catcher. Very good. I like the build of this team. The pitching leaves a little bit to be desired. There is a good ace in Lyric Daniels. But it kind of drops off after that, although Nathaniel Scarelli is pretty reasonable as a long reliever / starter. Decent closer in 23-year-old Camilla Jeffries. Lot to work with. Don't mind it at all. Fire Mandrill, I'm just not going to do it. I mean, if you guys want to punish me, go ahead, I guess. So the deal with Fire Mandrels is they're like the incredibly decentralized clan that doesn't even work with itself. They spend all their time fighting each other. They're to give it a political bend, I suppose, they are like the ultra progressive option that can't really agree on anything. They want so much change. They want to explore so many things that it's not really on the table. Ghost Bear. I like the Ghost Bear, although I do think I gave them some really boring-ass uniforms. Really family-oriented, kind of Scandinavian clan. They're like the Vikings, I guess. In terms of their roster, it's incredibly deep, but not great. But it does have some young players to build around. Emerson Trevino in right field. 23 years old. Turner, furthermore, is a really solid catcher and is only 23. Emmy Ball is 24-year-old first baseman with no secondary position. That's a little bit of a problem, but we can make that work. And then a pitching staff that, again, not very top-heavy, but has a lot of good pieces, a lot of depth. And I'm looking at some young pitchers as well. Esther Schmid, the closer, 24. Journey Hamsteak is a B+ left-handed pitcher at 24 years old. There's a lot to work there. Jacob Bridges as well. There are some older players, like they have 42-year-old Stub Porter, who I think might be hard to get a lot of great value out of, but it's there. They got some veterans to hold over while the young guys kind of develop. Yeah, no, I really like this team. I think it's a real option. So like I said, let me know in the comments below who you want to see me play. And it can be based on anything. You could completely ignore the history aspect of the team and just look at the uniforms or the roster or whatever. So you can make a purely baseball-based decision, or you can make a decision based on I suppose I'm looking for you can look at it, make a decision based on BattleTech lore. I don't know. I think anything is fine. Again, I will probably flat out to refuse to be the Fire Vandals or the Ice Hellions. Couple of reasons. I really don't like the clans that they represent. And on top of that, actually, I'm really just not also. I'm also really not happy with their logos. I did the best I could, but you are limited in the game by what is in the game. So there is that. Unless there's a way to import images. If someone knows how to import custom logos into the game, please let me know, because I would be very, very keen if I could just do that. I could replace some of these, or frankly, I could replace all of these with just the actual clan logos. That would be really, really cool. Anyways, that is all for this preview video. The season's going to be probably something like 120 games long, a mix of simulation and playing action, as well as watching. Well, that's another thing. Vote down below. Do you want this to be kind of like a hands-off manager thing where we watch games and I just try to do my best to guide the team? Or do you want me to play? That's, I guess, the question. Either has appeal to me, to be quite honest. I am one of those guys who played like baseball moguls as a kid and like NFL coach mode and stuff. So it does have appeal to me, just kind of be the general manager and try to make things happen. But we'll see. We'll see what the audience wants. And in addition to this, of course, the Meme Machine will be continuing over on Twitch, probably exclusively. Just doing live streams there as opposed to breaking it down and trying to bring us anything to give here. So that is all for this video. This ended up being longer. I thought it was gonna be like 20 minutes. It ended up being more like 35. So I'm gonna terminate this here.